Welcome to Movate Talks, Business Insights Unplugged. Join us as we share insights and perspectives from technology and operations leaders, industry analysts, and visionaries on how today's technology trends are transforming their businesses and communities. Sit back and enjoy the episode.
Hello and welcome to Movate Talks, Business Insights Unplugged. I'm Saurabh Sehgal, your host and sales leader at Movate. When we conceived the idea of the podcast, we were certain that our inaugural guest should be someone who embraces cutting-edge technology, inspires groundbreaking ideas, and cares deeply about the well-being of communities and the planet. So without further ado, I present to you our first guest for the series, Nigel Watson. Nigel is the CIO at Northumbrian Water Group, where innovation and sustainability are at the forefront of their mission. Today, we will explore the impact of emerging technologies, including AI, on water resource management and what the future holds for the industry. Nigel, it's an honor and a privilege to have you as our guest today.
Wow, that's quite the intro. I'm going to struggle to live up to that, but I'll try. And I think the honor is all mine. So great to be with you this afternoon, Sarah.
Thank you, Nigel. So Nigel, before we dive into the topic, tell us a little bit about your journey to technology leadership, your role at Northumbrian Water Group, and your vision for the business.
I'm 60s, but so I'll keep my journey brief, but safe to say I had some good luck along the way, and I said yes to a bunch of things, and I think that's probably been quite key to my career and the experiences that I've had. But it started when I was 17. I decided to leave school. I thought I knew everything I needed to know, with the hubris that only a 17-year-old could have. And my mum and dad said it's 3 million people unemployed. This was 1981. They said, that's an interesting decision, son. And I was lucky enough to land on my feet when I was offered a yacht scheme, which I guess, I don't know what the equivalent would be these days. And I had the opportunity to do either accounting or computer programming. And I thought, gosh, that accounting just sounds boring. So I'll have a go at computer programming instead. And the rest, as they say, is history. I've had the fortune of working across a bunch of different sectors. So mostly started in sort of financial services, and now I find myself in my autumn years in the water sector, which I absolutely love. I think the purpose is really the thing that kind of gets me out of bed these days. But and the other thing is I've had the good fortune to work around the world. I think I've worked in about 30 countries, lived in 6, and I think that really has been a great bit of good fortune on my part to have been able to do that throughout my career. But now Northumbrian Water Group and loving it.
Great. Tell us a little bit about the company itself and your vision for the business.
Yeah, so Northumbrian Water Group is a mid-sized water utility. So we operate in the northeast, and we own Essex and Suffolk Water, where we do clean water only. So we provide clean water and wastewater services in the northeast, clean water only in the south. We have about 4.5 million customers, 2.1 million households, revenue of around about £1 billion a year. So with 3,250 employees, just to give you some idea of the scale of the organisation, with a supply chain who work for us day in, day out, with about a further 4,000 people. The vision I think you're referring to there is, I think it was 5 years ago, came up with this vision to be the most digital water company in the world. It's a signal more than anything else, I suppose. It is more intended to be directional and a generalized ambition rather than, obviously it's not something that you can go out and measure, certainly not very easily. But we wanted to send a signal that, we would embrace leading edge technology, that we would look to technology for answers as well as, some of the other methods that we might use to try and solve problems. So that was really what it was about. And it came on the back of fairly significant investment that we'd made in digital technology as part of our transformation programs. Firstly, transforming the customer experience, and then transforming how we do work and asset management. And when we deliver those programs, I guess we'd put in place a really nice architecture. Everything was integrated, services orientated, largely in the cloud. And that was a lot of heavy lifting that was needed to get that job done. But then we were into this phase where I thought we can have more fun. And I guess fun to me comes in speed to value. So we were able to look at user experience, start to look at AI, and in particular back then, machine learning, and start to look at some sort of smart systems, smart networks, digital twins, and things like that we could build on top of that nice foundation that we created. So that was the essence of the vision.
That's fantastic, Nigel. So tell us, why the vision of being the most digital water company?
Why the most digital water company in the world? It was about being the fastest learning water company in the world. We're adapting to the impact of climate change, and the more clearly and the earlier we can see those signals, the better off we are in terms of being able to be resilient to those impacts. So that was really why we set that vision in the first place.
Brilliant. Thank you for sharing that, Nigel. And I do love your vision for the business, the world's most digital water company. That must be quite inspiring for your team. We often talk about innovation in consumer tech, or the way people communicate and connect. Tell us how you personally define innovation in the water or the broader utilities sector, and how you've led with a culture of innovation at Northumbrian Water.
Yeah, I think, look, the best definition I've read of innovation is it's the process of getting value from new ideas, right? And so I think it's simple and it works. In our business, we have 3 change levers, let's just call them that, right? So the first one I mentioned a little bit already, which is large transformation programs. These might run for 3 years or even more. I mean, we've found it certainly takes a long time to embed change from a transformation program into our business. So, and then we have continuous improvement, aka product management, and I think that needs no introduction, which leaves innovation. And we categorize something as an innovation if we're the first water company in the UK to do it. If somebody else has done it already, we should just go and talk to them, right? We're not in a competitive industry, so we would expect that to be a lower risk. But when we're the first company in the UK to do it, that says this is something that's coming from another industry, or it's something that's come from another country. It's never been done in perhaps our climatic conditions before, and there's more risk. And that really is what that whole sort of governance framework around innovation is all about. We have a defined success rate of 4 out of 10. That's sort of a target, and in actuality, having had 8 years of experience of running that pipeline, that's about where we are, which means some things will fail, and we're okay with that. But 4 out of 10, we've made ourselves comfortable with that. It delivers a very nice ROI, and we have a very mature innovation program like I said, for 8 years. It's probably at any moment in time got about 150 ideas in it. It delivers a lot of value through to the business.
That's wonderful, Nigel. And I know there's one more theme very close to your heart that has been driving innovation and spearheading your efforts within the industry, which is the annual NWL Innovation Festival. Now, I've been very fortunate to attend this festival several times over the years. I was there in July, and I couldn't help be amazed and impressed by the scale of the festival and the impact it is driving, not just for NWL, for the sector, communities, and the environment. I think the Innovation Festival has produced some really fascinating work and projects like River Deep Mountain AI. So talk us through a little bit more about how the idea came about and your journey from idea to execution.
Yeah, so the festival was an idea I had in the shower. So a nice short shower, I should hasten to add. But I think, so we started off on our journey of innovation. Well, it's probably nearly 9 years ago now. And my boss said, I want method, not magic. Go out and have a look in the world and see how people innovate. Go and study the processes and bring those back here. And we landed on this very commonly used approach called design thinking, and we bought the book Sprint, written by Jake Knapp, and we decided okay, let's have a go at a sprint. And so we defined a problem. I think it was around the billing process and how might we type question. And then we assembled some people from our organization and from out with, and we ran through that sort of 5-day process, generated some interesting ideas, and thought, that is genuinely different actually from something we might have done, with our previous approach and by ourselves, I suppose, more at the point. So we were running sprints at a pace of about one a month, and we ran a data hack as well along the way, where we put 10 years worth of asset maintenance data into a cloud environment and ran an event at Newcastle Uni and had about 120 data scientists turn up, which just blew my mind. We bought beer and pizza and prizes, and that felt like a very insightful exercise to do as well. And so we were jogging along, I suppose. I had got some methods, had a bit of success, and my boss said to me, I want it to be much more impactful. I want you to think much bigger. I want you to change the perception of the region. I want you to change the perception of the industry. And I do my best thinking, I think, when I'm asleep. So I said, I can't answer that right now. But I think it was literally the next day I was in the shower and I thought, well, I wonder if you were to mash together those innovation techniques I just talked about with the idea of a British summer festival. Because we're good at summer festivals in this country, right? I was trying to think, I was racking my brain, what are we really good at? And I used to take my kids along to festivals, and they're very eclectic events. You might find yourself in the Women's Institute tent learning how to make jam and then chatting to a celebrity chef. I wanted to create that kind of environment and then put innovation in it. And I ran that idea past my boss, and she said, yeah, do it. And we did. And so 2017, we ran the first festival. And we had 6 sprints and a hack and about 1,000 people. And as you say, we just ran our festival. We always run it in July at Newcastle Racecourse. And that was our 8th event. And I think we had 50 sprints, 3,000 people. And we have hip hop blingo. We have silent discos. We have free ice cream. But in the middle of all of that fun, we're solving some really knotty problems for society and the environment. And so if you boil it all down, the Innovation Festival, I mean, it is so much more than this, but if you really wanted to boil it down, it's our idea generation process. So it generates 50 or 60 ideas that go into the pipeline I talked about. But like I said, it is definitely more than that. I mean, I think it's a wonderful sort of coming together of clever human beings who have want to be part of solving some of these difficult problems. And so, yeah, I feel very good about it. Actually, I don't want to use the word proud because I hate that word, but yeah, I think it has had a really good impact on our industry and a good impact on our region.
I think you should definitely be proud, and so should be the rest of the team at NWL, because the festival, I think it's doing its job fascinatingly well. And you said the theme of 4 out of 10 ideas, and when you have 50 or 60 in the pod, you can easily aim at succeeding at about 15 or 20, I think, which is tremendous for a sector like the water industry.
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned team there, and I forgot to say, because when we first ran the festival, I learned a real big lesson, right? And too late in my career, I think. So I offer this up for younger people, and it's what I refer to as the power of the half-baked idea. And so when I came up with the idea of the festival, we had about 3 or 4 months, I think, to kind of get it off the ground and run the first one. And so I literally just said, look, this is basically what I have in mind. And people went off and did things, and it was in the best way possible, totally out of my control. And I got to the festival and I was looking around going, who organised the cookery demonstration? And people were going, does he like the cookery? I was like, no, I love the cookery demonstration, but I didn't know we were doing it. And there were like 100 things like that people had just organized. And it just made me realize when I grew up as a coder, right? I mean, I started life, as I mentioned, in computer programming. You grow up with the mentality of, well, your code has to work no matter what, right? So if people are doing bad things, your code should still be robust and it should function in unhappy use cases, et cetera, et cetera. And so I guess I probably carried that thinking a little bit into my leadership career. When I ran the festival for the first time, I didn't have time to think through all of the possibilities, all of the things that might possibly go wrong. And so I just sort of threw it out on the table as a vague idea, and people added to it, right? And I think so that's wonderful, right? Because if you've got the thoughts of many people, it's always going to be more powerful than the thoughts of just one. But really the magic of that is that they owned it as well. They owned it just as much as I did, and I think that's still true today. That I come up each time we look at a festival and get planned for the next one, I come up with a theme, and then people are off, and they go and do things that they go and do wonderful things, and I think it allows them to bring their full selves to work, and I think that's really important. And it just is, they have an ownership, they have a part of that event, and they feel really committed to making it a high quality thing. So
I remember us saying a discovery is said to be an accident meeting a prepared mind. So I think this is a classic example. It was not just an idea in the shower. It was someone looking for something groundbreaking, something different, and the idea happened to you. So well done to you and the rest of the team.
And you summed it up in one sentence, and I just rambled on for about 10 minutes, but anyway, there we are.
No, it's been great conversation so far, Nigel, and we're very privileged, as I said at the beginning of the podcast as well, to have you and share everything that you have been through in terms of the journey. So now tell me, Nigel, we live in an era that would be known for the emergence of two significant disruptors of global civilization, climate change and AI. How does AI contribute to ensuring reliable water supply and effective wastewater management under climate uncertainty?
Yeah. So I had a great conversation on a plane about a year and a half ago, and I don't know if you've ever been on Southwest Airlines in America. It was a short trip I was taking, and I'm too cheap to pay for one of those priority boarding places. So I found myself getting on the plane last and sitting in the middle, and I sat next a middle seat, and I found myself sat next to this guy who he'd run several startups, and we had a brilliant and really respectful conversation. And his main thrust was AI is an existential threat to humanity. And my main thrust was, no, climate change is a bigger threat than AI. And I got off the plane and I thought to myself, I should use AI to combat the impacts of climate change for the rest of my career. That should really be my focus. And I think, when people talk about the Paris Accord, there's a lot of focus on the net zero side, and rightly so. And, we're big energy users, so we're definitely sort of leaning into reducing the amount of carbon and other harmful gases that we put into the atmosphere. But the bit that doesn't often get talked about is how do you become resilient in the face of climate change? And we're already at 1.2 degrees, headed to who knows where, and we see the impact of climate change in our business every day. I mean, in small, subtle ways quite often. And then, of course, you get the big storms and freeze, thaw events and things like that are probably more dramatic and noticeable. But all day, every day, climate change is showing up across our business. And I think if you've got, and this sort of comes to sensors and the affordability of sensors and IoT comms and things like that are really reaching a point now where it's possible, economically feasible to do it. So smart networks, we're a big believer in smart networks and digital twins. And we're doing, I'll give a couple of examples if I may. So we're doing a smart sewer system in the Tyneside area. It's the world's largest smart sewer system, we believe. So it will serve 1.1 million people. It has level and flow sensors. So these you'll often have seen them deployed in networks before, but we're putting 750 of these around our network. And then it's got some real engineering, so gates and valves and things that can hold and control the flow of water. And then it's got a real-time digital twin, well, near real-time. So every 5 minutes, the digital twin will be taking the data that's coming from the network and what's happening and what kind of capacity we at. And then it will be looking at hyperlocal rainfall forecast, and it will be holding back the water, controlling the flow. It's like a traffic management system, I guess. And what that will enable us to do is to reduce the number of spills that we have, which you doubtless would have heard about in the media. And in terms of being a cost-effective way of doing that, I mean, it is so much more cost-effective than our other option, which is digging massive big holes and filling them with concrete. And concrete also, by the way, very carbon intensive. So we're going to really max out on this idea. We're doing it at the Tyneside area first, but then we're going to take that to other catchments. And I think that's just going to be massive. So the smart network is going to generate a massive amount of data. There's no way a human being can possibly process all of that. That's why digital twin's important. And this is one of our guiding principles when we deploy AI, we leave a human in the loop. So we will basically be putting options, like maybe 2 options in front of the operator. Would you like to do this or this? And really simplifying those choices for them. So I think that's a sort of a sewer system idea. We've also got, the equivalent on our water side, so clean water side. So for a long time, we've had a digital twin controlling production and sort of maximizing where we can produce water from the treatment works that use less energy. And then we've more recently done some work on sort of treatment in the network. So sampling the water along on its route. Sometimes it takes long routes to a customer's home, and then micro dosing any chemicals that we need to make sure that the water tastes great and is clean and healthy to drink. So those are just 2 examples. I mean, AI is popping up all over our business, to be honest with you, sir.
Great, Nigel. And I think you've touched upon very rightly so on 3 very important themes when it comes to AI. Responsible AI in its sense, human in the loop. I think it's super important that we do have that kind of overseeing impact on AI. And then data, because here at Movate, we are leading with AI. We are working on a lot of different projects and initiatives for our clients. And one thing we keep reminding ourselves is that when we talk about data, no data is no AI. Bad data is equal to bad AI. And good data means impactful AI.
Couldn't agree more. In fact, the 750 sensors that I mentioned, a lot of companies would have gone with a lot more sensors than that, right? I mean, I have seen examples where other companies in the water industry have deployed 20,000 sensors in a network like that. We didn't want to do that because we thought it's better to have less data but high quality data. And having 750 sensors, what we've been able to do is really calibrate them when we install them. So we run a 17-point check to make sure that the sensor's working properly, that it's giving us high quality data. And then, I mean, a lot of these things are on batteries. They run on batteries because of where they're deployed in the network. 750 sensors we're able to maintain quite comfortably. We can go around proactively replace the batteries. And so I think that's it's an example where we've really prioritized the quality of the data over the quantity, if you like. So I completely agree, really important. Human in the loop, 100% agree with that too, for a couple of reasons. One is, I think, your models, we have those extreme weather events, and your models are just not going to know about those, right? So when we've had Thunder Thursday in the Tyneside area in the past, and we've had Storm Arwen and things like that, the people in our business, they stay here a long time. They will remember that, and they will know that actually this model is throwing up a suggestion now, which probably we should ignore in those moments. And then I think there's something about accountability. Are we going to sit in the boardroom and go, how do we learn from this? What happened? Let's do root cause analysis. And everybody kind of goes, yeah, I don't know. The digital twin decided that's all we know. I mean, it's not an acceptable way to run a critical service, I don't think.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So, looking ahead, AMP8 cycle starts soon. What emerging technologies do you believe will have the most significant impact, and how is Northumbrian Water preparing for it?
Yeah, I think the short answer is AI, but let me elaborate a little. So I think I've talked a bit about the smart sewer system. We're really making a big bet on that, and I think with AI, that smart sewer system is going to do is continue to learn to adapt, to spot those small changes in the patterns of rainfall, and that's really critical. The other thing, so our capital program is doubling in AMP8, so we currently spend about normal year 350 million. Will be somewhere between 700 and 750 million. We need to make sure so that's customers' money. We need to make sure that we spend it responsibly. We need to make sure that the projects deliver to cost, and we need to make sure that the projects deliver to quality. So we're putting in place a common data environment so that our whole ecosystem, the whole delivery ecosystem, which is way more complicated now, it's double in size, is operating off of the same set of data. So we're all looking at the same milestones, we're all looking at the same tasks, etc., etc. So we're putting that in place, which is sort of a fundamental building block. But then we're looking at the connected construction site. And this is where I think the value out of AI can come in. So, for example, we've got CCTV up on our construction sites. Can we leverage that data stream now with AI? So if there were supposed to be 10 people working on that site during the day, were there 10 people working on site? Were they all wearing their health and safety equipment properly? We were supposed to have 2 tons of aggregate delivered that day. Did we have 2 tons of aggregate delivered? So that's sort of, if you like, helping inform us a little better about the progress of the job. But then we believe with AI and sensors, we can also do a better job of checking the quality of the build. So we've had examples in the past where the concrete pour wasn't very good. We didn't know about that in time, and therefore, a whole load of equipment's been built on top of the concrete. It's almost impossible to undo. But with sensors and AI, we can now check the quality of the concrete pour and make sure that we've got the right foundations in place before we proceed with the next step of the job. So I think there are things like that AI can really help us with. So I think it's got enormous potential.
Great. This has been a fascinating and insightful discussion, Nigel. We couldn't have asked for a better start to our podcast series. I wish NWL and you the very best as you embrace emerging technologies and build a more sustainable future for the water industry and the planet. Thank you, Nigel.
Thank you very much, Sir.
To everyone listening in, please do share your thoughts on the podcast and your views on the impact of climate change and AI in the comments section. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you for listening, and do share your thoughts in the comments section. We can't wait to bring you the next episode, so stay tuned for more.